And good evening, I'm Jonathan Higgins, and we're live on the Scanner Guys YouTube channel tonight. It feels like it's been a long time since I've been live. I've had some produced stuff on the Train Aficionado YouTube channel, and then I had a scheduling conflict last month that prevented me from doing the Scanner Guys show, but I'm excited to be live tonight. We are talking about GMRS. And we're talking about the Wouxun, I believe that's the proper way of pronouncing it, KG-XS20G Plus. This is my GMRS radio review of this particular radio. We're going to take a look at a couple of slides, learn a little bit more about it. This is my recent purchase. I purchased this from a company called buy2wayradios.com. They got it out to me really fast. This is actually my mobile unit. In an upcoming video, I will show what it looks like to be installed in my vehicle. I'm still adjusting that, and I want to make sure that that looks spiffy before I start rolling out what it looks like. But I've recently, at the beginning of the year, I got my GMRS license, and now I'm kind of getting into it deep now with these radios. So let's take a look at a couple of slides here. Let's start off with an overview. This radio is premium performance and a compact footprint. Many vehicles nowadays don't have a lot of space. So this is extremely difficult to be able to fit a two-way radio, a mobile two-way radio in your vehicle. So this kind of fit the bill. I will have photos of the install coming up in upcoming videos. Thank you so much, everyone that's joined tonight. So let's get underway. So it's a base mobile. This is the Plus version. There was a previous version of this radio. So there's a little bit more bells and whistles with the Plus version. It took over the original model. This is actually an FCC-approved GMRS radio. GMRS stands for General Mobile Radio Service. So what does that mean, FCC-approved? So many times people use other radios that have capability of transmitting on GMRS frequencies. This radio was built and designed for GMRS users. So it's actually an FCC-approved GMRS receiver. So it's geared towards them. The company that I purchased this from, which was buy2wayradios.com, actually put in all the details of what they wanted into this radio, and then Wouxun built this radio for them. The manual is phenomenal, easy to understand. It's in English. A lot of these overseas manufactured radios, sometimes the manual can be a little difficult to read. This is a great manual, highly detailed, easy to understand. It's a full-size radio, so it's in a compact design, but it's in a full-size radio with a durable chassis. The target audience, typically for GMRS, is off-roaders, preppers, RV enthusiasts, farm and ranch operators, and family communication groups. So they want to communicate with one another. Here in Cincinnati, I'm a part of the Southwest Ohio GMRS Association, and they have repeaters throughout the Cincinnati area. So I'm a part of that. I'm able to communicate with other like-minded people that are interested in two-way radio communication on the many repeaters here in Cincinnati. So I'm on there. They have get-togethers from programming events, even dipping their toe into some of the scanner side of the hobby, and of course some other events as well, including some of the ham radio stuff. I do not have my ham radio license. I do have my GMRS license. Right now, I'm involved with so many things in between Train Aficionado, Scanner Guys, the Cincinnati Railroad Club, and of course working full-time. I got my hands full, so I'm quite content with just having my GMRS license. It's super easy to do. You can do it online. It costs $35, and you're licensed for 10 years, which is great. just make sure you renew that license. So some information about the radio. The design, it's a mobile unit, can be used as a base. You would need an external power supply. The microphone has a full keypad and functionality buttons on the keypad, which makes it super easy to operate. So you don't have to go reaching over to the radio. You can put the radio into scan. You can scroll through the menu options. You have the ability to do a lot with that handheld mic. It also has the ability to switch from A to B. You're able to monitor two different sets of frequencies. The huge thing that was an appeal to me was the receive frequencies on this radio. Not only does it transmit on the GMRS channels, it's able to receive on VHF and UHF, and you can see the frequency bands on the screen there. The major reason that I was really interested in this radio, as many of you know, I'm a rail fan, and I love going out there watching trains. I go out there oftentimes. Sometimes we're in different vehicles. Last Saturday, myself and Chuck went out north around the Dayton area, went out rail fanning. He was driving in his vehicle. I was driving in mine. I met him up there. We communicated over the two-way radio as we hopped from various locations off repeater. He actually has the same exact radio as me. So we really like this unit. And in my radio, I have the railroad channels programmed into it. So basically in my B group, I have railroad frequencies programmed. And of course, my A group, what I'm running right now is the GMRS repeaters or the channels that I'm operating on direct when I'm communicating to people like Chuck. Make sure I didn't skip. Oops. I did. Okay. So let's talk about some of the other information here. So this radio has about 20 watts. So it gives you a pretty decent range. The maximum power for a base mobile with GMRS is 50 watts. I do have a radio that's 50 watts. We'll do a show about that in the future. It's also an ocean radio, which I'll talk about. So this radio is able to transmit at 20 watts. Typically, I can hit all the repeaters that are around the Cincinnati area. As for direct, all depends on terrain and your location and the other person's location that you're communicating to. The radio out of the box is pre-programmed with the 30 GMRS channels, including the 8 repeater channels. So basically, I leave those channels in the radio just the way they are. There's no PL tones. In case I ever want to communicate with somebody directly and they don't have their radio set up with the same PL tone as me, we can go to one of the channels and then communicate with them without any PL tones. As I mentioned earlier, this radio is FCC certified for GMRS. You can actually see the FCC ID right there, and you don't have to compromise, with radios that are built for whatever. This one's actually geared towards a GMRS user. As I mentioned, the biggest thing, compact design. Look at the size of it. Basically a little over 2 inches by almost 5 inches by 5 inches. So it's a fairly small compact radio. And this is what I was looking for. The dual receive, the A and B, which is really nice. You can monitor 2 channels at once. Basically have your A area and your B area. And it's how it's written there. I have my GMRS channels on one side, and I'm monitoring my VHF railroad frequencies on the other. And you're probably wondering, how am I doing that? There's a lot of railroad frequencies out there. It has a massive memory of 999 programmable channels. They can be customized for repeaters, scan groups, and of course, in my case, adding railroad frequencies for various areas. So the great thing about this radio is you're also able to create an alpha tag for the display, which I use heavily, which is really awesome. So really excited to be able to talk about this radio with the 999 channels. The alpha tags are super helpful, because When you're looking at, you're not going to remember what's on channel 1, channel 2, and so forth. And when you have that alpha tag, it's super helpful. For the GMRS club I belong to, basically there's repeaters throughout the Cincinnati area. There's an east, a west, a north, a south, a central, a citywide. There's a valley repeater. Yeah, this GMRS club has got all of Cincinnati covered. And I have them labeled just like that on the radio, so it makes it absolutely handy. And then the railroad frequencies, when I program those in, the ones that I monitor all the time, I'll do the AAR channel number, and then CSX, and then RD for road. So I'll abbreviate quite a bit. What I'm going to do is eventually, once I have the radio fully programmed out for the railroads, I will do a laminated card and have it in the vehicle so I know what channels are where. And of course, I got that robust memory of 999 channels. So I've already gave away some of what's on this screen, but as you can see here, a full color LCD display, easy to read, showing the channel display, frequency, channel names, and even shows at the top the vehicle voltage, which is handy. I'm plugged directly into the cigarette lighter outlet in the vehicle. This is a low wattage radio. My vehicle will be able to handle that. You have multiple themes when it comes to the display. 4 different color layouts. So you have a white display 1, a white display 2, a black display 1, a black display 2. And you basically go through those and pick whatever one tickles your fancy. The new night mode instantly reduces down the screen and keypad brightness down to 50%. And you can do that with just a simple program key to protect the night vision. The custom keys, you do have a key that you can basically program, key button 1 and 2, which is the PF1 and PF2. So PF1 is actually right on the screen there. We're going to go full screen on that. You can see it right there on the left on the radio, left of the screen, that PF1. So that's a programmable button where you do a long press and a short press, and it'll do some sort of functionality, whatever you're choosing. The other thing with the screen you can do is the TDR button, which allows you to be able to monitor just one of those groupings, whether it be the A or the B. The mode, you can switch in between the display mode of how you want the frequencies to be displayed. The band, which you can bounce in between A and B, which allows you to be able to, of course, transmit, in this case, on the GMRS channels. It will not allow you to transmit outside of those frequencies. So only the GMRS channels, the 30, you're able to transmit. Everything else, transmit is off. So you won't be able to transmit on those. Looking at the buttons over on the right of the screen, of course, is your menu, which you're able to go through the menu. The up and down arrows are to be able to navigate through the menu options, and of course, being able to hit exit. The knob that's all the way over on the left allows you to adjust the volume, and then the knob over to the right by the exit button, allows you to scroll through the programming. And then we have the power button, which is on the top there, the orange button. Now, the great thing about the power button being a button is the radio will remember, like if it was powered on or off. So if you have this connected to the ignition switch, what will happen is you turn the ignition off, it'll turn the radio off. And when you turn the ignition back on, if the last time it was powered on, it'll power up the radio when the ignition's on. Looking at the microphone there, you can see that it has the numbers on it. It also has the main button, which allows you to bounce in between the A and B programming, the menu button, the up and down buttons, and of course the exit button. You also have the ability to turn on or off the keypad light on the handheld mic, and you're also able to lock the keypad on the handheld mic so you don't accidentally do something there. So all great features on the overall display and customizable. What comes in the box? You're able to get the, of course, the handheld microphone, the mobile mount and bracket, the mobile power cord. There's also the 12-volt power cord, which comes with a cigarette lighter adapter, which you can see there. So you actually get two power cords, one of which you can plug directly into the cigarette lighter, and then the other one you can actually plug right into the battery on your vehicle. You get fuses and screw sets, the owner manual, and then there is the warranty card for Wouxun. So all of that is inside the box. So you get all the basics. The other things you'll need to keep in mind, of course, is the getting the antenna. Right now I have a mag mount antenna on the vehicle, and I have the Wouxun UHF GMRS antenna, which is a nice stealthy tall antenna, which works great pretty much anywhere. The thing that doesn't come in the box that I would recommend is, of course, the programming cable. The programming cable will work for the KG-XS20G Plus. It'll also work with the other Wouxun radio, the KG-1000, which I do have, which is the 50-watt brother or sister model. So you'll just have to purchase one of these cables. I'm going to do an upcoming show talking about the 1000, which is a really nice rig, and that was my first Wouxun radio. And then I got the 20 watt, and I really fell in love with it. So it's a really good combination. Where did I get the radio? Buy2wayradios.com. I can't say enough about them. This is a company that my friend Chuck recommended to me. He said he's gotten really good customer service. He's bought several of his radios from them. And the shipping was pretty quick. They're based out of South Carolina. I got free shipping. It shipped out within 2 days. So I got it, and they do a really great job packing it up, making sure it gets here okay. This will be my second radio that I bought from them. And I really like the quality of this radio. I mean, they did a phenomenal job with speccing this out to Wouxun to be able to create a true GMRS radio, which is really nice. So I'm really new to the hobby, and of course, with Train Aficionado and the Scanner guys, I'm branching out a little bit more with both formats. On the Scanner guys, we're going to branch out to some of the GMRS stuff, talk about that, along with scanning. So this kind of ties in because I do use the radio for scanning the railroads, and it scans relatively quickly. I feel that, the receiver is really nice. I actually put an external speaker on there. I'm using the Whistler external speaker. It was about $24 on Whistler's website. I was able to pick it up at a Walmart on clearance. I couldn't believe that a Walmart had the speakers in, and they were selling it for $5. So I grabbed a couple of those speakers. I mean, a $25 speaker for $5. Of course, Walmart's just trying to get rid of stock, so I grabbed a couple of them. I had an extra one. I put that in the vehicle. I have it aimed towards me, so the audio would come towards me. The audio is extremely crisp, and it sounds really good. The other night, I went out to go get something, and I was listening to the radio, and I kind of didn't want to go in. I mean, the railroad channels were quite busy, and I was hearing a lot from the audio, so I'm really looking forward to parking trackside at some point and listening to the railroad communications right there. And I was just kind of happy to be able to get this radio. I mean, with these cars being a lot smaller, it's hard to be able to put radios in there. So this was kind of my way of doing two things at once, being able to put a scanner in the car and plus be able to have the GMRS. So having that one unit do it all is pretty nice. Any questions? I know we've kind of went through that relatively quick pace. I hope to have some more stuff on this. I'm kind of dipping my toe into talking about GMRS stuff during the scanner guys. So, we're going to kind of branch out over the next year talking about radios and scanners. And this is going to be a lot of fun to be able to talk about some other things. There hasn't been a lot of activity when it comes to the scanner community regarding new products. Uniden is, in the process of working on stuff. Whistler told me now that they're under new management, they're on the process of doing stuff. So as those things come out, we'll talk about those things on the show. The thing with the GMRS thing that I find fascinating, it's a great tool for being out rail fanning, and if you're rail fanning with a group. There was one night that myself, John, Chuck, and a few other people went out, and we decided we were going to start rail fanning in Hamilton, and we ended up almost all the way into Indiana. And of course, we were communicating over two-way radios, trying to figure out what our next stop was. What we were trying to do was trying to get ahead of a heritage unit locomotive. And, so we were trying to coordinate, do we want to go this far? Do we want to stay here and wait? And of course, some of us are monitoring scanners on our vehicles so we can hear what's going on. So, it was a collected effort amongst us rail fans. And the great thing about using, the GMRS radio, you got a beefy radio that's got some power and some distance. You're able to communicate a lot further than you normally would with one of those family band talk about radios, which is about a half a watt. So really excited. We've got a lot of check-ins tonight. Welcome to the people that are watching. Jason's watching. Scott and a whole bunch of other people are watching here tonight. But happy to answer any questions that you may have for GMRS or anything to do with scanner communications. So Chris is asking about the radio will not work on railroad frequencies when they go to NXDN. Yes, so NXDN is, I don't know when that's going to come for the Class 1s. So right now, NXDN is a digital format that the railroads will go to eventually. But it'll be a collected effort amongst all of the railroads. They all have to do it together. Because, a lot of times foreign power is running on lines. Sometimes, other railroads have shared access to the right-of-way. And of course, you've got Amtrak that's going on their lines as well. So their radio equipment needs to support NXDN. So when everybody can make the switch collectively, you can't have half the people on analog and half the people on digital. That creates a huge hazard with communication. So everybody's got to be on there together. Where you're going to see some NXDN is basically in yards where, it's only a group of people that are using it. Or you'll see it on maybe a scenic railway. I can tell you that the Essex Steam train in Connecticut runs on NXDN. I believe there's other short lines that are running on NXDN. But for the most part, it's going to be a long time before we see NXDN, be the primary communication. But Chris, you are right. This radio will not do NXDN. If I wanted to upgrade the radio, it's going to be costly. And then I'm going to have to get a radio that's not like this one geared towards GMRS, but basically an unlocked radio that's a dual bander that'll do GMRS and it'll also do NXDN. And it's a huge price tag. It's quite an expensive radio. This radio retails for $199.95, so it's fairly inexpensive. When you're looking at NXDN in digital formats, it's going to be a lot more money. Yes, Jason, you're absolutely right. There isn't many GMRS repeaters across the country. That's why you got your amateur radio license. For me, there is so many repeaters in the Cincinnati area. I said this will be kind of cool. I got a couple of my friends to be able to get licenses. Chuck already had his GMRS license. John got his license. My dad got a license. Jim, which is another club member, got his license. So we're able to use these for communication. Super easy. You don't need to take a test. But yeah, and in your situation, Jason, where there's not a lot of GMRS repeaters, the next step would be, of course, to get the amateur radio license. The other Jason on the channel mentioned his son works for CSX, and they don't have a timeline for those road channels to go digital. I think it's low priority right now for the class ones. They've got other fish to fry. The analog is working fine. But you got to realize with the class ones, it's not just the handheld radio and the locomotive. There's the whole radio infrastructure needs to be changed. The receive sites, the transmit sites along all of their railroad lines. I mean, that's thousands of miles of track would need to be switched and upgraded. And the thing, when they're doing this, think about this. They can't just turn off the analog and then turn on the digital. When they do transition and do this, they need to have two structures in place. The old analog system and the digital system, so when they're able to flip the switch, they're able to do it with ease versus, trying to convert things and not have any communication. So it's going to be interesting to see if and when, whether or not it'll happen within my lifetime to be able to see the railroads go completely digital. I mean, you look at it for a city or town, they've got, maybe a couple of repeaters and then all the vehicles. It's a lot easier for a small area to be able to go from analog to digital. With the railroads, there's a lot more miles and miles of right-of-way and receive and transmit sites, so it's quite expensive. The railroad frequencies will stay on the same frequency band when they move to digital. They're not going to switch to... They do have more frequencies because of the narrow banding. So there's frequencies in between the frequencies. So technically they have more channels to work off of. But they're still going to be in the 160 to 161 megahertz. Any other questions or comments? There are several websites, Brian, to be able to find those repeaters in the state of Florida. There are several websites. I'm trying to think of... I think there's one which is called I'm just going to do this right now. There's one called mygmrs.com, and it's a GMRS repeater directory and community. So you may want to take a look there. There is a lot of other websites out there for looking for repeaters. And a lot of times, some of these repeater sites, you have to request permission to be on, or you join an organization like the Southwest Ohio GMRS Association, and you're able to, be able to use all the repeaters. And then typically they'll have a net on there. The Southwest Ohio GMRS Association has their nets on Sunday nights at 8:30 on the Valley, which is GMRS channel 20. It doesn't cost anything to listen. If you've got a scanner, you can program it in. You can listen into it. Another question I may have missed, but which scanners would pick up the NXDN trunking systems? So as for the railroads, they're not really using trunking, but there are agencies that are using trunking systems on the NXDN. So when you're looking for a scanner, that needs to trunk NXDN, you would need to take a look at the 436, 536 HP on the Uniden side, the TX1 and 2, yeah, not TX, strike that, not the Whistler because they don't trunk it. The SDS 100 and 200 also can do trunking NXDN, but the caveat with all the Uniden radios is you need to have the upgrade to do it, which is the NXDN upgrade. So what all the Uniden radios, the digital radios, come out of the box ready to go for P25, most Phase 1 and Phase 2. If you're looking to do NXDN, DMR, or Pro Voice, those are paid upgrades that you would need to do. So definitely, consult, the company that you're buying your scanner from, whether it be Scanner Master, in case you need any of those digital formats outside of the Motorola P25. But yeah, all good stuff there. Scott mentions My Repeater book is another great resource online. Radio Reference will have some of those repeaters listed on there, but not as much as some of the GMRS geared sites. So we hope to have some more news on the Uniden front with some new products when that is available. We'll definitely do a show for that. I know a lot of people are seeing things online, but as soon as we have some final details, we'll be able to announce those here on the channel. Any other questions before we wrap up tonight's program? So, of course, in case you're joining us late, we were talking about the KG-XS20G Plus. We're trying to branch out a little bit more on the channel, being able to talk about just not only scanners, but also some of my other interests, such as GMRS communication. So hopefully we'll have some more shows regarding some of the GMRS stuff as well. It kind of ties in and marries in pretty well with radio communication. I don't see any more questions, but I thank you so much for joining the broadcast tonight. I'm all swagged out here, so we've got the Scanner Guys hoodie and a Train Aficionado hat. So these can be purchased through the website. So if you're looking for Scanner Guys stuff, go to thescannerguyshow.com and then click on store, and you'll be able to see our whole store of swag. Basically, we get a small percentage of the sale, which helps us to be able to do streaming, upgrade equipment, and what have you. For the Train Aficionado stuff, go to trainaficionado.com and be able to go to the store there, and you can get all the Train Aficionado swag. Or you can be just like me and mix it up, Scanner Guys and Train Aficionado. But it's so exciting to be able to see all of you on the channel. Definitely, if you haven't already, make sure you like and subscribe. Definitely ring the bell for notifications for any videos. But I thank you all so much for being able to join us. We will have a lot more coming up in upcoming shows. Next month, we're probably going to do something regarding, a holiday gift guide when it comes to scanners. We normally do that in November, so you can kind of get a sense of, what's out there for scanners right now, what should you consider, and a whole bunch of tips and tricks for making your own scanner packages for that individual. So hopefully we'll do something like that in November. And then, of course, December rolling in, so I'm not too sure what I'll do there. And then Train Aficionado will be coming up at the beginning of the month, the second Wednesday of the month. So if you haven't been watching, Train Aficionado is the second Wednesday of the month on Train Aficionado's YouTube channel, and then the Scanner Guys is on the fourth Wednesday. Both shows airing at 8 o'clock Eastern Time. I thank everyone for joining me tonight. I hope that you have a great night. Be safe out there. If you're a rail fan, get out there before it gets frigid cold. This fall weather is starting to take a dip, especially here in Cincinnati, Ohio, to be a little bit more chillier. So get out there while the days are still a little bit warm. Hope to see you trackside. and then we'll see you again on the channel. So have a great evening. We'll talk to you again soon. I'm Jonathan Higgins.